Edition of Comcast SportsTalk. I'm Scott Graham, sitting in tonight for Bruce Beck. The subject this evening, of course, is the NCAA Championship game. We'll analyze the upcoming matchup between Kentucky and Arizona for the national title. We're going to be doing it in a different way. This evening, you're going to have the opportunity to hear analysis from some of the talented NCAA players in our Comcast viewing area. Geoff Billet from Rutgers, Lavell Sanders from Seton Hall, and down in Philadelphia, Marc Jackson from Temple. All here on hand with me in a few moments to look at the matchup, review the season that ends tonight, and maybe most importantly, to take your telephone calls, too. The number to check in with us, of course, as always, is 1-888-COMCAST. I would imagine that every college basketball fan said, you know, the networks, CBS, ESPN, they do a great job, and we're not trying to change around what it is that they do, but they use the former coaches. They don't use players. Interesting to get a player's perspective tonight on what this entire NCAA tournament and a national championship game is all about. We're doing it with some of the great local players from our Comcast viewing area, and joining us here in our studios in Union tonight, first of all, Lavell Sanders from Seton Hall. Lavell, how you doing?
How you doing?
Good to have you with us here this evening. Also, we are joined by Geoff Billet from Rutgers. How you going, Geoff? Got a little tan going there.
Yeah, it's nice weather in Florida.
Oh, just that little spring break thing. And from our studios, via our fiber hookup down to Philadelphia, in our Philadelphia studios, we are joined by Temple's Marc Jackson. How are you, Marc?
I'm pretty good. How about you?
Doing fine. By the way, just out of curiosity, got a lot of snow up here in this region. How did Philly do today?
Oh, it's a blizzard. It's pretty bad, and it's getting worse.
Well, that leads us to our next point, which is we were hoping to be joined by Terrell Myers from St. Joseph's here this evening, but apparently weather has gotten in the way of his making an appearance with us tonight on our special show. I want to start, first of all, with you guys right here in the studio with us, because both of you guys coming into this season, before we get to the tournament stuff, both of you experiencing coaching changes this year. And you, Lavell, have an idea of who you're going to be playing for next season. Geoff, right now you're still kind of hanging in limbo.
Yes, we're hoping, within the next week that we'll know who our coach is, and we're just moving forward and, going to hopefully find out pretty soon.
Lavell, you were pretty outspoken toward the end of the year in saying that Coach Blaney ought to stick around. I mean, obviously there was some disappointment there. What do you think of Tommy Amaker?
I think he's a great guy. We got a chance, the players got a chance to meet him and talk to him, sit down, discuss a couple of things. But I think he's going to do a great job, and we just excited to have a new coach. Now, Marc, on the other hand, you down there in Philadelphia, I'm going to imagine that you got a coach down there who is kind of came with the building and kind of came with the university. He's going to kind of be there forever. The question that a lot of people are asking is whether or not you are going to be back next year. Do you have a timetable set on whether you have decided to come back to Temple for next season?
No, I'm still deciding, but I will make my decision quite shortly.
Okay, and that's obviously the time we're going to hear about it. For those of you curious about it, Marc does have one more year left at Temple, and the decision before him about whether or not to think in terms of the NBA draft. Obviously, a real weighty decision as far as that's concerned, right, Marc?
Yes, of course. Have to take your time, be patient.
Okay, now we're talking obviously NCAA Championship here tonight. We're also talking NCAA Tournament. Marc, I'm going to come right back to you because you got an opportunity to see a little bit down the line about what happened in the NCAA Tournament this year. In fact, I think a lot of people, when they filled out their tournament pools, were thinking that you guys might have had a chance against Minnesota in that second round. Why don't you tell me a little bit about that game?
We came in very confident, as well as they did, but I think the better team won that night. Minnesota has a lot of firepower coming off the bench, including the starters. So I just think they shot the ball extremely well, and they big men rebounded the ball very well. So I just think that kind of lessened our chances to get a victory. But they're a very outstanding ball club, and I thought we had a chance to win, but we didn't. So congratulations to Minnesota.
You watch something like that, and you watch how it is that they turn things back around again, and how they end up playing their game that they played in the Final Four. Do you think in those kinds of terms, can you take something like that? We played these guys this way, and they played Kentucky this way. Can you do that?
I mean, against Temple, a lot of teams, we base our winning on our defense. And Minnesota came out, was just hitting shots from all over the place and getting a lot of second chance points. And to watch them play against Kentucky, and, I was a little disappointed because I really wanted Minnesota to win this game. But they didn't. They played hard. But they had 25 turnovers. That was a lot for them. And Kentucky just played outstanding. They just put the pressure on them and didn't let it go. So that's how Kentucky won that game. But I was a little disappointed. I really wanted Minnesota to win.
Now, obviously, what Kentucky is going to be known for is the pressuring defense, and they come right at you in waves right from the very beginning of the game. What they're going to do is they're going to put pressure on you 94 feet. They are going to be right on you as soon as you inbound the ball.
Exactly.
From time to time, they kind of change up what they're doing as far as trapping from one side or trapping from the other. But the Kentucky pressure, is obviously, and you guys have seen a little bit of this on television, in what's happened over the course of the tournament. It can be awfully difficult to deal with.
I think so. We play against a similar style when we play Georgetown. They have a similar kind of pressure defense, and it's tough to play against them. You really don't know how it is until you go against it. So I think the key to the game is going to be maybe Arizona, their guards. I think you have to not turn the ball over. Many teams that Kentucky play against, that they create a lot of turnovers. So I think that Arizona not going to they're not going to turn the ball over in order to win the game.
Yeah, obviously, Geoff, a lot has to be placed on the guard's shoulders in trying to take care of the ball against a team like Kentucky.
Definitely. The one team that had success against Kentucky this year, South Carolina, they had 3 very good guards. And I think Arizona's in a similar position. And if their guards are able to handle the pressure, I think that it'll be a great game right down to the wire.
And, there's so many weapons as far as what it is that Arizona is capable of doing. We're obviously going to be talking about a lot of different weapons that they have. A guy that was the big guy toward the end of last year for them, had a little bit of a slow start this season and has really come on, has been Miles Simon. He has been a real key toward what it is that Arizona has done in reaching this championship game. And you see what he's capable of doing. Now, the question is, does Miles Simon get the open outside look from three-point range? Because one of the things that Kentucky does a great job of is guarding the perimeter.
I think if they put him in the second line of the pressure and they can get the ball to him and he can get up the court and create some easy opportunities for himself, I think that he may be able to get the looks that he didn't get in all tournament.
Mark, I'm going to take it back to you as we're taking a look at Simon here and his penetration. He's a guy who can bring it to the inside, can also shoot it from the outside. St. Joe's, if you saw the game against Kentucky, did a real good job of penetrating to the inside. Incredibly enough, they couldn't get their shot off from the outside, but they did penetrate. You think Miles Simon will have that ability to get inside against Kentucky tonight?
Oh, yes, of course. I have had the opportunity to play with Miles this summer at Nike camp, so I do know what kind of player he is. He's a very intelligent player. He's not just a guard that can score. He's a guard that can beat you just by thinking. And I think he's going to be able to, do a lot of good penetrating and just set up his teammates against a lot of good, easy shots. So hopefully his teammates can help him and help Bibby, and hopefully they get him a victory. But, hey, good luck to both teams. But I think, in my opinion, I think Arizona, they're a great ball club, but I think Kentucky's going to find a way to pull it out.
Now, Kentucky just comes at you so many different ways, and they have so many different guys who can set up to be the guy. Obviously, the focus is going to be on Ron Mercer, but there are so many different ways Kentucky can come at you. And obviously, Geoff, you've seen your share of college basketball. You've seen your share of these guys in this Kentucky team. They may not be as dominant as they were last year, but they seem to be almost as effective.
No, definitely. Coach Pitino's obviously done a tremendous job. They were down to 8 scholarship players through the tournament, and to just keep on rolling like they have is truly amazing. And I think they just keep plugging new guys in and they don't lose a beat. And they're a tough team, and I think they're going to play a great game tonight.
Going back down to Mark in Philadelphia, I know one of the guys who was making the decision on the world of the NBA made it, in fact, was Ron Mercer. You've got an opportunity to see him play over the course of time. What do you think of his talent?
Oh, Ron Mercer is a very athletic player who finds ways to get a shot off and to use the screens, and also he's a great slasher. So I think he's going to fit the NBA system quite well. He's a lot of talent that you need for the NBA, and I think he's going to be a great pro, just as well as college player.
Now, he got an opportunity to step up this year, and you see a guy who's got the package of being able to take it inside Lavell like that, and also, as we see here, off the spin, just pretty stuff. Did that against St. Joe's as well. He's got the entire package.
Yeah, definitely. I played against him a lot in AAU basketball, things like that. And he's a great talent. I think he's going to be a tremendous pro player. He's done everything I think Coach Pitino asked of him on the college level. So I guess he feels it's time for him to move on and take his talents elsewhere.
All right, now in a tournament kind of format, let me shoot this by you, Mark, because you just most recently did it a couple of weeks ago. Ron has been kind of banged up, and there's a lot of people that were concerned after the semifinal game that he was going to be tired. Would he be rested? Would he be able to come back from a couple of the shots that he ended up taking in that game? What's it like bouncing back on just a couple of days when you are a little bit banged up?
Well, it takes a player that's hungry for victory. You can't just be a basketball player. You have to be a basketball player and also a warrior, no matter what position you are. And, to see this game tonight is going to show what kind of player Ron Mercer is. Does he have the capability of coming back after a very physical game that he didn't hit a lot of his shots and bounce back and show the true All-American that he is. So I think he's going to really step up, and he's going to come through for him when they need him. because you know, even though you get banged up, you still have to put that behind you. You have to move on with your life.
Well, here you can see the shot that he took to the back of the head. He had also been cramping up in the legs. He was actually bleeding from that shot, and they were working on him extensively on the sidelines. As I said, that was something that Jim Nantz and Billy Packer were talking a little bit about. Would he be ready for tonight's game? Let me just shoot this back to you guys. In tournament-type play, in being in a situation like that, back-to-back, tough to shake off that kind of injury.
Definitely. I think, you know, any other time, maybe during the season, he may even sit out a game or two to get healthy. But tonight, it's the final game, NCAA title, and Ron Mercer's a big-time player, so I'm sure he'll shake it off. And once the game gets going, he probably won't even think about it, put it out of his mind. He'll be ready to play.
Well, that is Geoff Billet. I'm here with Lavell Sanders from Seton Hall as well, and Marc Jackson is with us from our studios in Philadelphia as we analyze the NCAA Championship game. Kentucky and Arizona coming up tonight. Your calls coming up as we continue here on Comcast SportsTalk. We're right back. Welcome back to Comcast SportsTalk, our special NCAA Championship Game edition. Geoff Billet from Rutgers, I believe we did that specifically for you. You're a big Springsteen guy, aren't you?
Definitely.
How
that was
big?
Great. Real big.
Well, that's your area, right?
That's down the shore, yes. He grew up in Freehold. It's pretty close to me.
Yeah, but this is a couple of years ago now. I mean, I can understand when that was the attitude about Springsteen, you know, maybe 10 years ago now. It's incredible kind of staying power.
He's still pretty big down the shore. You'd be surprised.
I wouldn't. No, I wouldn't be surprised. But anyway, we invite your telephone calls at 1-888-COMCAST as we analyze tonight's championship game. A little while ago, and Marc Jackson is with us in our studio in Philadelphia. A little while ago, Marc was telling us a little bit about having played against Miles Simon. Lavell Sanders, you told us about playing against Ron Mercer. How many of these guys, just kind of collectively, have you guys seen over the course of time and actually played against in some capacity or other? I'll start with you, Lavell.
A lot. I mean, guys in our conference, guys out of the conference. AAU basketball is beginning to become so big. You play against so many players because you travel all over. So I think in the NCAA tournament is a whole lot of them.
Geoff?
Yes, definitely. Guys in Kentucky, like Ron Mercer, I played with him in an all-star game, played against Wayne Turner, and a couple of guys on the Arizona team have also played against. So a lot, especially the sophomores and freshmen, definitely played against most of them probably. And like Lavell said, AAU is so big now that you play against guys from all over the country and also in like the Nike camps and ABCD camps.
Marc, I'm trying to think about whether or not it is over the course of the last couple of years in Temple's kind of play anybody's style. Did you guys over the course of the last, not this season, last season, did you play either Arizona or Kentucky?
No, we didn't. We played Kansas. That was the closest to Kentucky, but for us game-wise. But we haven't played either one of the teams.
But yet you've seen a lot of these same guys, right?
Oh yes, of course. You know, like they said, AAU, but you have things here like Sunny Hill. Future Stars tournaments in high schools that just show everybody talent to get your opportunity to play against any and everybody. So, but we up in the college ranks, not this year or last year. We've been playing against Kentucky, Arizona.
All right, let's continue on. We'll take a couple of telephone calls and find out what you have to say here at 1-888-COMCAST. We'll start off in Point Pleasant. How you doing, Ken?
How you doing, Scott?
What's up?
What's up, guys? I like to talk about Arizona. I like their chances tonight because they got the guards that can break the press. South Carolina did it twice, and they got 3 great guards, just like Arizona does. Do you agree with me?
I'll start it off and then just shoot it around the table. We were talking a little bit about that a couple of moments ago. I saw a St. Joe's team with 3 good guards, including Rashid Bey, who was raising his level to an incredible level at the end of the season. And the problem was not really breaking the press early. The problem was the fact that the perimeter defense was so good they couldn't, get the shot off as Kentucky was running out to stop them. I mean, you guys are guards. Are Arizona's guards capable of taking care of that kind of pressure?
I think so. I think that they have the talent and then the ability to break their pressure and get their own shots. Michael Dixon, he hasn't been playing real well in the tournament, but I think that this game, is a big game, so he's a big time player. So I think he's going to step up and take some of the pressure off Miles Simon and Michael Bibby.
Yeah, Geoff, talk a little bit about Mike Bibby because he has been phenomenal in this tournament.
He's been great every game he's played. I think he's always stepped up, especially at the end of games. And I think the key will be him breaking the pressure, but then also them scoring against and making Kentucky pay for pressing. That's the key. If you just break it and then set up a half-court offense, Kentucky's half-court defense is very good also. So the key is going to be for them to break it, but then also score and make Kentucky pay.
You're talking about unlimited range, it looks like, when you get into a zone like that and you're able to hit from the outside. And it really doesn't matter whether you got a hand in your face, whether you're knocked down. The way Mike Bibby's been shooting the basketball, that's the way it's been going. Mark, let me shoot this back down to you as well in Philadelphia, because Bibby, you know a little bit about as far as expectations go. Bibby came out, people were talking Jason Kidd at the beginning of the year, and a lot of people around midseason were wondering why. I think they're kind of finding out why now.
Oh, yes. Bibby's been playing outstanding in the tournament. You know, I think he's been carrying the pressure of they say the best thing since Jason Kidd. So I think he's carrying that pressure on the shoulders quite well, and he's dishing some of his own medicine out. But this game is going to show just how good he is. You know, considering it's an NCAA tournament, he's only a freshman. You know, and playing against Ryan Mercer and Turner, and it's just going to show what kind of player he is. Is that freshman coach still going to be on him, or did he move along and become a sophomore since the tournament started?
Mark, kind of right back at you now. The idea of apparently we have some sort of an audio problem there, so we'll take it right back down again. Mark, right back down to you in Philadelphia. Obviously, inside a big portion of your game. And one of the things that Arizona is going to do here this evening is block shots. You talk a little bit about their interior defense.
Arizona's played outstanding interior defense, and I think Kentucky has played good interior defense as well. But I think in order for Arizona to get a victory here, their inside people have to step up and be able to block shots. Not only block shots, just to cut off the passes to the basket. Don't let it be like a highway to heaven situation. Don't let them just move you on down length 2 or 3, 2 points on end one. You have to step up and get your defense. Look to George Charges, like Mercer and Turner, things like that. But they're a great interior defensive team, and I think Kentucky is an underrated defensive team. But I think both teams are going to need something from both of their big people in order to be successful tonight.
Well, Arizona putting on a little bit of a shot-blocking show in the semifinal win against North Carolina. Obviously, Kentucky, we were talking about whether or not they were able to do things from a pressure point of view, from a perimeter defense point of view. From what you guys have seen, Geoff and Lavell here in Union with me, as far as the interior defense for Kentucky?
I think Kentucky, they rotate a couple 7-footers in there, and Coach Pitino teaches them obviously how to block shots and rebound, and that's one of the keys to any team's success. But I think Arizona, though, has the key to their success this year has definitely been their 2 big guys. So I think an important part of the game will be to see which big men and inside people control the boards and play good defense inside.
Well, obviously, in the game against Minnesota, Minnesota did have a rebounding advantage of the game. They did do a pretty good job in breaking the press in the game. And Minnesota, Mark made reference a little bit earlier to the fact that there were 25 turnovers in the game. Minnesota, Lavell, I'll let you talk us through this. Kind of did a lot of things right against Kentucky in the semi.
Yeah, they did. They played reasonably well. I just think that Kentucky was the better team that night. They so deep. They can go 9, 10 guys deep on their bench, and everybody that you bring in off the bench can do the same thing that the first 5 did. So I just think that they was kind of overmatched talent-wise.
Here you can see just sort of textbook ways to be able to go through the defense and breaking the press. And obviously that's something that Geoff was talking about as a key for tonight's game, is the fact that not only is Arizona going to have to be able to break that pressure, but they're also going to have to be able to make Kentucky pay for the fact that they're going to press, because they become a little bit more vulnerable to the back. I'm just kind of curious before we take our next break. Obviously, you guys follow this thing tremendously closely, the NCAA tournament. I mean, does this basically take up the entire portion of your lives over these couple of weeks, like everybody else?
I think so. Just watching it, it's exciting to watch the games, and you never know what you're going to see, so you really don't want to miss the games. And that's all I've been doing. We was on spring break, and I was just sitting down watching, all the games.
I still think that maybe that first 2 days where you're talking about all of those games going on at once, the first 30, that's just a blast to me.
It's tremendous, yes. I think if you're a college hoops junkie, you're in heaven. That's you see all the teams play, almost every game's on. And it's also nice, I think, for us players to see teams we played against or guys we know playing in the NCAA tournament. You kind of, pick them out and root for them. So it's kind of nice to get behind the guys you know.
Well, talking about some of the guys in the NCAA tournament, how about guys who have played in the NCAA Championship game? We're going to be hearing from some of them and from more of you as we continue on the phone lines. Our NCAA title game special here on Comcast Sports Talk. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Comcast Sports Talk. Halfway through right now, our look at the NCAA title game. And joined by our special guests here this evening as well, joined by Lavell Sanders and Geoff Billet from Seton Hall and Rutgers, respectively. And from our Philadelphia studio as well, we have Marc Jackson with us, talking a little bit about the NCAA tournament, about tonight's upcoming championship game. I kind of mentioned at the top of the show that you're talking about one of the true dramatic moments in sports, because it's not a series. It's not, well, we dropped this one, but we're going to be able to get a couple too on our home court when we get back. You know, it's not like the NBA Finals. It's not like the NHL or baseball or anything else. It's one night, and it's one night in which if you come up big, you're a hero forever. Who doesn't remember Keith Smart or Michael Jordan? If you come up short, well, then you're the GOAT forever. Who doesn't remember Freddie Brown or Derek Coleman missing the front end of that 1-and-1 back in 1987? We thought we'd give you kind of a flavor of what it was like for some players who in the past have participated in the NCAA's biggest game.
It's the epitome of all college basketball to get to that final game and the championship game. To know that you're one of the best two teams in the country of in the whole college basketball. So that in itself is a treat, and the fact that we made it that far. You still want to win that last game, but we made it far. Enough to say that we lost that last game. So it's for anyone who gets a chance to play in that, it's something you'll never forget.
A big accomplishment. You just think of all the games and how long it takes you to get to that point, and it just feels good just to be there. Not thinking about winning or losing. You're just happy that you're out there.
Which is a real thrill. I think it's got to be the highlight of their careers up to this point. It's something that they'll never forget. I think it's something that you really can hardly express in words, but you can sure look forward to the excitement and the anticipation of that day. And it's just a very special moment for the teams and coaches involved.
Well, some interesting stuff from some of the players who've been there. And if you're like me, you're wondering who was rubbing McCarty's shoulder. Did anybody see that? Am I the only guy who saw that? What was going on over there? But anyway, we're talking obviously about the NCAA. It's a special night to be able to get into that NCAA championship game situation. And, as a player, you guys have played in some real big situations before. Big situation, huge game. What's it like for a player right about now, half hour before tip time?
I think that, you start thinking about the game, thinking about what you need to do, and you're definitely nervous. Anyone who tells you that they don't get nervous before a big game is lying to you. But once the ball goes up and once you get playing, players just relax and you settle in. And once you make that first shot, it's another game, another big game.
Lavell, somebody has told me in the past also that when you get into a championship-type situation or a playoff situation or whatever it is, that you have a tendency almost to kind of bond with your opponents a little bit that first couple of seconds before you actually start, because you're all kind of in the big show together.
I think so. You just probably just talking or whatever and just, kind of sharing some insight on the game. But I think like half hour before a game, you sit with your Walkman on and you just, think about the game, think about situations in the game, things that's going to happen during the game. And you just try to look ahead. But I think everybody is pretty nervous and just want the game to, to get on. So, you get through the game and you start playing and you break a sweat, and then everything's back to normal.
Now, everybody's got different ways of looking at it, and everybody has different ways of approaching those last couple of minutes before huge game time. We thought we'd give you a little bit of a taste of what it's like for some of the players who've been there, about what it is like in those waning moments before the ball actually gets tossed.
Well, I think that everybody's got the initial butterflies, and once tip-off is up, then you're fine. Then you're back to playing with the rhythm that the team has played that's gotten you to that final game. And I just think 5 minutes before you have a lot of anticipation.
Well, for myself, I wasn't really nervous at all. It was just another game. You just got to go out and play. You got to treat it that way so you can come out hopefully having a good game.
We don't know how you're going to come out and play, how the team's going to come out and play. So you're pretty nervous. There's a lot of anxiety flowing around and just a lot of energy waiting to come out.
There you go. Apparently also McCarty got rid of his friend over in the locker room there. Obviously there's a lot of energy, there's a lot of nervousness. In a lot of respects, though, and Lavell, I'll start with you, you can make that kind of thing work for you, too, if you use it right.
Yeah, I think so. You're so pumped up and you just want the game to start. And it's a lot of good energy. It's not bad. And I think the team that calms down first will probably, end up being up in the beginning of the game. But the team that calms down will, settle down and get themselves together will I think, probably win the game.
You got to imagine that Kentucky, having been there last year, and Kentucky with the 6 national championships, although that dates back quite a ways, they would be a little bit more on the together side as the game got started. But then again, you never know. Arizona's been playing loose the entire time. Let's go to East Orange. Hi, Scotty. You're on Comcast Sports Talk.
How you doing, Scott? I just got a 2-part question about the game tonight.
Okay.
First of all, the first part is, how do you feel Arizona matches up with Kentucky? And the second part of that question is, do you think they stand a chance to possibly beat Kentucky because they're on a real hot streak beating Kansas and North Carolina? That could give them some momentum going into this game.
I think what you're watching tonight, I'm going to bounce it off our expert panel here, but I think what you're watching tonight is, two teams 180 miles an hour end-to-end with their hair on fire kind of a game, and that's exactly the kind of game I'm expecting to end up seeing tonight. And because Arizona plays that kind of game so well, yeah, I give them a chance. How about you, Lavell?
I think so. Like I said, I think it's going to be a backcourt kind of game. Both teams have good inside people that can step up and make plays. Arizona got some good guys with some quickness and things like that. But I think it's going to fall on the backcourt. Whichever backcourt plays the best and whatever team make the big plays, I think that's the team that's going to come on top.
Geoff, we've seen over the course of the years a number of teams that have just gotten red hot and been hot at the right time. And right now Arizona's got that look.
Yes, they're playing great basketball, best of the season. They finished 5th, I think, in the Pac-10. And now they're in the final game, so it just shows you what kind of basketball they're playing now. And at this type of year, that's what it takes. You have to win 6 games in a row, and Arizona looks to be the team that could do it tonight.
Now, obviously, it comes back to pressure, and more pressure. If you're going to figure out a way to beat Kentucky, you got to figure out a way to beat that pressure. And once again, in some respects, that's probably made a lot of. But if you do beat it, if you can beat it, you're in good shape. If not, things like this happen to you, and you end up giving up the ball specifically out on the wings, or there was a great overplay by Epps. I remember that play specifically because it was an anticipation of the pass. And what they end up doing is they end up trapping you off on a sideline. Somebody makes the anticipation of the pass to the middle, and by the time you throw it, it's already picked off.
I think so. I think what you have to do, you can't really try to dribble through it. I think Kentucky can be beat over the top. I've seen a lot of times this year where a lot of teams threw the ball over the top and they was able to beat the pressure. So I don't think you're going to be able one guy going to be able to dribble through the pressure because it's like playing against 6 guys out there. So I think you have to pass the ball through and try to get it over the top.
All right, so as we continue here, remember 1-888-COMCAST is the number to check in as we continue to handicap the NCAA final. Arizona and Kentucky coming up a little bit later on this evening here at our special time. We'll take a further look and find out a little bit more about these guys who are sitting here with me as we continue.
In the tradition of Pride and Prejudice.
Welcome back as we continue here on Comcast Sports Talk. A special look at the NCAA title game here this evening. An opportunity to talk with the players some as we give you our preview of Arizona against Kentucky. And back to the phone lines with an opportunity to talk to you. We're going to go to, that's where I thought we were going to next. We're going to Matt in Westfield. Hello, Matt.
Yeah, how you doing?
All right, what's up?
I got a question for Geoff.
Okay.
You got to be pretty pumped up about John Karate doing well and his persistence and finally getting some playing time with Miami. And I was wondering what he thinks about that and if he could follow in his footsteps and take it to the next level.
Yes, I have DirecTV at the house, and I watch a lot of Miami Heat games and see John Karate play, and he's doing great. And it's great for the shore area. It's great for my high school CBA, and he's doing very well for himself. And I'm glad he finally found a place where he can go and get some good playing time.
How much thinking do you actually do, Geoff, about the next level? I mean, obviously you still got a little time left before it gets to that point.
Honestly, I really don't think about it at all. I have certain goals that I want to accomplish in school and on the basketball court in college, but I really have no goals of, for playing at the next level or anything.
Lavell, how about you?
I think about it a lot. I think it's a dream of every young kid, growing up playing basketball, and it's something I think about, and it's something I think that is not too far off. It's something I think I can achieve with a little hard work.
Well, Mark, obviously you've thought about it to a certain extent as far as playing at the next level is concerned. When did that idea first pop into your head about being able to move on and play beyond the collegiate level?
Well, a question was addressed to me, say with December or January about, Mark, there's a lot of rumors going around that, you might, if you have a good enough season, you might have a possibility of going first round after your junior year, but you consider leaving. And I was like, ooh, for real? I was like, wow, thank you for telling me. But, you know, I was just keeping my head on the college game, you know. The NBA is something everybody dream of, even when you're in elementary school and junior high, you know, if you're a big basketball fan. So, I just try to stay away from that right now. Just worry about college. And now that the season's over, just think about more about in terms of next year and what kind of team we have for next year. But, of course, I think about everyone does.
Yeah, I'm more interested in when that dream kind of starts. I mean, when you're lighting it up down at Roman Catholic, when you're a star down at Roman Catholic, you thinking, oh, yeah, NBA someday?
I mean, well, in college, and when I was in high school, my favorite player was Shaquille O'Neal. So, you know, we had the same uniforms as LSU, same color. You know, I used to wear the knee pads like Shaq. So, and, you know, then the dream popped in my head, wow, I wonder if I could play in the NBA like Shaq, you know. So it's not a point of trying to be like Shaq or be like Mike. It's trying to be like Marc, you know, and hopefully I can get to that level one day. If not this year, hopefully next year, you know. So it popped in my head. I say about high school is when I start really, you know, thinking about it hard.
All right, well, as we continue here, we're talking a little bit about tonight's championship game that is coming up, and you've got guard play that we talked about for Arizona being a real key to this game, and obviously for Kentucky, guard play becomes a big key. Got a couple of guards sitting right here with me, so a perfect opportunity to bounce this kind of stuff off them. Talk a little bit, Lavell, I'll start with you about the Kentucky guards.
Well, Wayne Turner is a good player. Anthony Epps is a good player. They have some good guards there, and I think that they guards, you know, control the game as far as getting everybody involved, running their offense, penetrating, kicking out for open three-pointers. So I think guard play is going to be a real big key.
And you just saw Mills right there. And Mills is the kind of guy that just kind of sneaks up on you, and he's the recipient of those penetration kickback out passes. And when he's going like he was in that semifinal game, the game against St. Joseph's, he doesn't miss.
Yes, you find yourself looking for Mercer and some of the other guys that they have, and guys like Padgett and Mills. You kind of leave them open, and they'll hit 3-4 threes in a row at any given moment of the game. So those are the guys that, you know, in games like tonight can step up and really kill a team.
Now, you mentioned Padgett working it a little bit from the outside, also from the inside as well. Marc, I'm going to take it back down to you. Padgett and Prickett, two guys on the inside who have done a great job as far as Kentucky is concerned. Talk a little bit about them.
They've been playing outstanding basketball. I think they're the key to this team. You know, everybody could talk about Ryan Mercer and Edwards and Turner, and, you know, but they just lead them two out. I think you know, one thing that teams need is role players, and I think they accept their role pretty good, which is rebound, play defense in the interior, and also when necessary step out and hit the open three, the open jump shot. So I think they've been playing outstanding basketball, and I think they need a lot of credit because they're the ones that got this team this far just for them being there. You know, everybody, the guard play at Kentucky is outstanding, the best in the nation. But, you know, the interior people, they've been doing their job, and they've been doing it well. So I just think they deserve a lot of credit.
Now, there you can see Padgett, who fouled out early in the semifinal game, but a guy who was capable, obviously, of doing a lot of different things. And you saw there from the little video montage, guys, the inside-outside capability that they have. That's an awful tough combination to keep up with because you're not sure really where they're coming from.
I think so. I think that's big for big guys, especially on the Kentucky team. A lot of them are really versatile, and they can go inside and outside. And a lot of big guys are not used to coming out outside and checking guys, you know, at that height. So I think that's an advantage for the big guys on the Kentucky team.
How about you, Marc? I saw a little bit during the course of the year this year. I did a lot of your games on television. I saw that little bit of a satisfaction when you could actually step out away from the post and nail the 15-footer, the 18-foot jump shot.
Oh, yes. You know, I've always had a perimeter game, not as well as my inside, of course. But I always had that even before I came to Temple. So the one thing I was always taught, you know, when I was in high school, when I was thinking about going to college, is by one of my coaches, John Harnett, who always said, no matter what they teach, no matter what they try and make you do, never forget, you know, what you started. You know, one thing that people said about me in high school was I'm a good low post scorer, but I also could step out and hit the jump shot and put the ball on the floor. So I just kept that with me. Even though I've been able to show it in games, I always kept that in my pocket, you know. So when it comes time to pull it out, to give me a better chance against a 7-footer, you know, I just pull it out and do what I have to do. But yes, I can hit the perimeter shot and put the ball on the floor, but my inside game is what brought me this point.
Now, that's Marc Jackson in our Philadelphia studio. Geoff Billet, Lavell Sanders here with me. And we continue our look at the NCAA title game that is coming up this evening between Arizona and Kentucky on our special edition of Comcast SportsTalk. We'll be right back. Well, Route 95 should only look like that through Philadelphia on a night like tonight. But with the rough weather, imagine people a little bit slower going and trying to get back home to check out the NCAA title game. With our expert panel of players, we go right to the telephone lines. And considering the fact that we were just on 95 in Philly, let's stay there and talk with Jerry. You're on Comcast SportsTalk.
Yeah, Scott, how you doing?
What's up, Jerry?
Yeah, I wanted to ask, I guess Mark hasn't made up his mind yet about the NBA draft, right?
He already said that, yeah.
Okay. I wanted to ask all three of you, what style does Kentucky and Arizona play that reminds you of an opponent that you have played previously? Does Kentucky and Arizona have a style that's similar to any teams that all three of you have played?
Well, go ahead, Mark. You can start it.
Oh, yes. Kentucky reminds me a lot, and Arizona reminds me a lot of Xavier. Xavier has outstanding guard play with great forwards. You know, they press you for 40 minutes, full court, nonstop. They're very physical and very athletic. So, you know, both teams remind me of Xavier a quite deal.
Lavell, obviously, you said Georgetown.
Yeah, Kentucky reminds me of Georgetown, and Arizona reminds me a little of kind of like Rutgers, Providence with the three guards that can, you know, chase you all around, things like that.
So that would mean that Billet guy's a little bit like the Bibby guy? Is that the, how does that work?
That was very nice.
Which team are you?
I think that we played Cincinnati earlier in the season, and I think Kentucky reminds me a lot of that. And I was also going to say Arizona reminds me some of Seton Hall with the good guard play. And, you know, the big guys just complimenting.
Mark, it's a little love-in going on up here in Union. Isn't that nice? Let's go back to the telephone.
Yeah, I hear him complimenting each other. What about me?
Yeah, what about him? Nobody said anything nice about him. Let's go to Lauren. Say hi to Brian. You're on Comcast SportsTalk. Hello?
Yeah.
What's up? You're on.
This is a question for Marc Jackson.
Okay.
Mark, aren't you concerned about what you give up with one more year under Chaney's tutelage? Chaney's such a great coach when it comes to the basics. Aren't you concerned that being 1 year under Chaney wouldn't help your stock go up, as we saw with the big man with Tim Perry under Chaney, and then the guards with Aaron McKee and, of course, Eddie Jones?
Oh, yes. You know, actually, a tutelage of Coach Chaney will not hurt. But, you know, if you have to admit, this is my 4th year of college. And, you know, after a while, a person just feels as though, hey, it might be time for me to go out and get a job, you know, for myself, help my family, you know, things like that. But, of course, I'm considering Coach Chaney there. I mean, that'd be great for me. But there's never a guarantee whether your stock will go up. You know, your stock can always go down. You know, so you can't look at it one way. You have to look at it both ways.
What you don't realize is that was probably Dean Demopoulos under a different name that was calling and asking you that question. Obviously, people want you to stick right. You had an incredible year this year, Mark, and obviously the MVP of the Atlantic 10. You know, we watched you last year, and a lot of people expected that this was going to be the kind of year that you were capable of having. Talk a little bit about how you played this year.
I think I played pretty well. You know, I think I had a lot of help this year as well as last year. But with the first year plays of Pepe Warren Sanchez and Rashid Brookenborough, you know, they just gave me help, you know, especially Rashid with his ability to be able to score on anyone at any time. And Pepe Sanchez is being under control, and I think he's one of the most underrated guards in the nation. And I think before next year's over or the year after, he will be considered one of the top guards in the nation. You know, Lamont Barnes is a 6'9", 220-pound freshman who's very much an intimidator. You know, he scares anyone to come down there, makes them think 2 or 3 times before they decide to try and put that ball up in his face. You know, so I think I had help this year, and I think you know, next year, with people like Malik Moore, Marvin Webster, Michael Tabb, Quincy Watley coming in, Lynn Greer, Temple's going to be an outstanding ball club and for years to come.
Oh, yeah, this is a super team coming back for next year, and with or without Marc Jackson, it's going to be a super team for next year.
Exactly, just because of Coach Chaney.
Yeah, exactly, and that's something that kind of goes on an every year basis. As we continue, we're going to, I believe, stay on the telephone lines as we try to see if we can get a few in. Let's go to Ralston in Maplewood. You're on Comcast SportsTalk. Hello, Ralston.
Yes. How you doing?
All right, what's up?
I just want to say what's up to Geoff, Lavell, and Mark.
How you doing?
All right. This question is for Lavell, because I'm a big Syracuse fan, but I root for Seton Hall because actually Seton Hall's in my backyard. And I just wanted to ask Lavell, do you think there's a problem usually when a big-time recruit comes to Seton Hall and he takes a look at the campus, he walks around, then he gets towards gym with the mother, his dad? You know, I root for Seton Hall a lot, and I think it hurts my feelings most of the time when I see a big-time recruit come. He visits, you know, the school. He looks at the gym. They practice at Wall's gym. But when he tells his mom and his dad that he's actually going to have the games at the Meadowlands, do you think that's a problem, actually, in a recruit?
I don't really think so. we have a small campus, but I think it's a great campus. And, a lot of times, a lot of, big-time recruits, they don't want to go to schools where they have the big campuses and things like that. So I think it's kind of of advantage for us. And also playing in the Meadowlands is a great place to play. And, practicing that waltz is not really a problem. So I don't really think it's a disadvantage for a recruit.
How about the ability of the crowd to get into it at the Meadowlands?
I think that this year we had a decent crowd. They got into the games a lot. Whenever it was an exciting play, it was an opportunity for them to get into the game. They got into it, and we appreciate it.
Okay, as we continue, Mark, that question also about recruiting, looking at the campus, that's something a lot of people have worried about with Temple over the course of the years.
Yes, I grew up in the city of North Philadelphia, Richard Allen Projects, which is located about 3 to 4 blocks approximately down the street from Temple's campus. But Temple University is in an inner city environment. When the recruits come, it's like we take them around campus. They're like, wow, y'all not y'all surrounded by the city. Y'all not in like a little spot of your own. I think that kind of helps us, as far as recruiting big-time players as well as any player, because I think when they come in, they see atmosphere like home. They're not separated from the outside world. In order to be successful in life, you got to, you go to university to get education, but you also experience social values, just socialize to be able to communicate with other people, of different cultures and things like that. So I think Temple helps in that way. Being in the city of Philadelphia, you have the campus, everybody, and then you have the inner city, the people that live there who just think Temple's doing a lot for them, which it is. Temple University does a lot for North Philadelphia, as well as North Philadelphia does a lot for Temple. So I just think it helps, in my opinion.
Geoff, no such problems with New Brunswick, right?
It's we've had problems getting the recruits though there lately. So now the campus is beautiful, and
how about the RAC?
The RAC's a great place. We've played in a lot of places in the Big East, and I think when that place is full and it's really rocking, it's one of the better places in the Big East to play.
And there's been times this year specifically when the place was really rocking. Also a real tough place to officiate, I've been told.
Definitely. The crowd is rather harsh on officials, and for some reason you can hear the crowd better at the RAC than other places too when they're yelling at them. So, but our fans are great. They're really behind us in big games, and I know a game like the Seton Hall game, it was very crowded, very loud, and Villanova game, just to name a few.
And look at Geoff. Did you see it there? Up the ladder, going up the ladder with the big guys as well as the outside stuff. When we come back, the guys are going to tell us, and I'm going to tell you who I like to win the national championship. Tip-off just a couple of minutes away if you're watching us live here on Comcast Sports Talk. Our special NCAA Tournament Championship edition is right back. This evening, first, quickly, Lavell Sanders.
I like Arizona, but I think Kentucky's going to win for 2 reasons. The deepness of their bench and the experience of being there before.
Right next to you to Geoff Billet.
I like Arizona tonight. I think guard play is very important, being a guard myself, and I just think that they'll be able to overcome the pressure.
And real quickly, got about 10 seconds, Marc Jackson.
I think I'm going to go with Kentucky because I think Pitino's going to find a way to win, but if the injuries start affecting them in the late second half, watch out for Arizona.
I like Kentucky, and I like Kentucky to win a tight, wild ball game. We thank all of our panelists for being here. It was a pleasure being in for Bruce Beck. Enjoy the championship game coming up in just a couple of moments. Good night.
Inspiring years.
Welcome back to Comcast Sports Talk. I'm Bruce Beck, and joining me on the phone right now is Geoff Billet, the outstanding backcourt man for the Scarlet Knights of Rutgers. Geoff, how you doing?
Bruce, how you doing? Good.
Where were you, at Burger King?
No, I was doing some studying, actually. I stopped Friday.
You know, we don't give you guys enough credit for that. That's good to hear. I'm sorry I pulled you away from your books, but you're going to get a new coach tomorrow. It's been confirmed, 10 o'clock. Kevin Bannon's his name. First of all, what do you know about him, and what's your reaction?
Everything I've heard about him has been very positive. I don't know him personally. I've never met him before. But I know a lot of people that do know him, and all they do is rave about him as a coach and a person.
Do you like the fact you're getting a young guy who's 39 years old?
Yes, I think for the future of the program, I think that was a good move, and he's someone who seems to be very energetic, and I think he'll bring a lot of energy to the program, and he'll publicize the program and get things going, and that'll lead into good recruiting efforts. And I think that's, with a young guy coming in, I think that's a good foundation for the program.
Did you guys meet any of the coaches when they came through the campus for the interview process?
Yes, I only met with I met Coach Penders, but I know a couple of the other guys also met Coach Harrion, but I only met Coach Penders.
What do you make of the whole process here, Geoff? It did take a while. There were a lot of names bandied about. How do you react to all of that?
I think you just have to look at it where Rutgers went out and tried to get the best possible candidates that were out there, and they obviously left no stones unturned, and looked at people who were established coaches, young coaches, and hopefully we got a guy, from what it sounds like, who really wants to be at Rutgers. And I think that's important when you're trying to sell a school.
I agree.
Trying to sell anything, if you believe in it, it's a lot easier. And it seems like Kevin Bannon really wants to be here and is really looking forward to this job.
Geoff, nobody can offer better a New Jersey perspective about what it means to recruit a New Jersey kid than you. You are a New Jersey ball player. You played your high school basketball in this state. You go to the state university. You believe that you could win there. What are your thoughts on, the importance of going out and recruiting the New Jersey athlete and making them come to Rutgers?
Bruce, it's very important, and it can definitely be done. New Jersey basketball, I think, which almost everyone knows, is probably one of the best high school basketball states in the country.
I agree.
And the talent that comes through New Jersey, is probably as good as anywhere. And so I think the thing with Rutgers now, I think the thing that cures a lot of ills is a few winning seasons and a few good seasons, and now with a new coach, I think high school coaches, high school players will see stability at the program, and I think that'll mean all the difference in the world. And like I said, also a few winning seasons in a row could never hurt, and that enhances the way a program looks.
Geoff, final thought. There were some talks during the process that you were thinking about flying the coop because you had a wonderful relationship with Coach Bob Wenzel, that you were thinking of transferring. Is it fair to say now with a guy like Bannon that you will be staying at Rutgers?
Well, yes, right now, I'd just like to meet Coach Bannon and, talk to him and, just see what his plans for the future are. But, everything I've read about him has been great, like I said before, and everyone I've talked to has nothing but the highest praise.
So you give him a fair chance?
Oh, definitely, yes. He's a young guy. I think he's going to bring a lot of energy, and we need someone like that coming in, and I think that he'll do a good job here.
All right, get back to your studying. Do you know when the Battle of Hastings was?
Battle of Hastings? No, we're not up to that yet.
1066, Walt Frazier, Ray Nitsky. That's the way you got to remember stuff like that.
That was pretty good, Bruce. Right. You got me on that one.
All right, thanks a lot. And will we see you tomorrow at the press conference?
Yes, I will be there.
Okay, thank you so much.
Take care, Bruce.
Geoff Billet, standout guard for the Scarlet Knights of Rutgers. Let's go back to the phones. Darrell from Roselle. How you doing, Darrell?
Okay, how are you?
Okay.
I'm a former Rutgers student, and
Go ahead, Darrell. You're on a little bit of a delay there, so you got to turn down the TV and just talk to us.
Okay, Coach Bannon is an excellent person, and I'm looking from a standpoint of what he brought to the Rider community.
Tell us about that, Darrell.
Coach Bannon brought a lot of camaraderie to the community, and I'm kind of sad in one way of what Rider's losing, but, he's taken a step forward, and Coach Bannon's just an excellent person, and he stands to bring a lot to the Rutgers community. And, I read in the paper he got recommendations from Coach Hurley at St. Anthony's, and that's always a good contact for bringing in more New Jersey players into Rutgers. And
I agree with you, and the fact that you're saying that, it's kind of sad that you're going to miss him, but, that's what this industry is all about. One guy moves up, another guy, takes over, and I think it's important that a guy follows his dreams, and he obviously wanted to coach at either Seton Hall or Rutgers in the state, and he's going to have that opportunity, Darrell.
And he's going to do very well. He's just a great person, and like I said, I'm sad to see him go, but you know, I'm happy to see him moving on to something better.
Very good. We appreciate you sharing your thoughts with us.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Let's go to
Here's Kevin Bannon.
Slowly but surely. He was glad to see us today, by the way. Said hello. Today begins the National Letter of Intent signing period for college basketball coaches. That means coaches around the country are busy. Though new Rutgers coach Kevin Bannon only has one scholarship to offer, he was busy working the phone. Bannon has been on the job less than a week. One of his first priorities is to fill his coaching staff, and he's added one more assistant today. Now it's 2 down and 2 to go.
We've hired 2 full-time assistants. They're on the path and working, and Todd Kowalczyk, who came with me from Rider University, and Rob Lanier from St. Bonaventure, and I feel great about that. 2 great recruiters, great coaches, and we'll be adding 1 or 2 more, but that's certainly something that will not happen for at least a couple of weeks.
Though getting a late start hasn't helped his recruiting efforts, Bannon says he's still going after size.
They're the hardest guys to recruit, and it is very, very late. That's not to say that we don't have a shot at a couple of them, and we're doing everything we can. There's a very limited days that we're allowed out till next Thursday, actually. So, needless to say, I'm getting on a plane, and no one's going to see me for about 7 straight days because we've really got to take the next step with some of these players.
On to the next level.
On the floor as well, I think we'll be pretty good basketball.
On to the next level.
On the floor as well, I think we'll be a pretty good basketball team.
Former BYU coach Roger Reed was considered the front-runner for the head coaching position. Michigan Athletics Director Tom Goss says he will conduct another search after the season, and Reed would be considered a candidate then.
Named a new coach, but just like its last basketball hire, the word interim has been tacked on the end for good measure. Brian Ellerbe is that interim man, replacing Steve Fisher, who was recently fired. Said Athletic Director Tom Goss he consulted with the game's best before making his final decision.
It's a great opportunity. Obviously, Michigan is one of the premier athletic departments in the country, and our job is to continue a real strong tradition.
Interestingly enough, the last interim coach was Fisher, and in his interim year, won the national championship. Ellerbe could only pray for such deja vu, right? Yeah. Still to come on the show, we'll take you back to Miami.
Recruit they picked up yesterday via an oral commitment. Dahntay Jones of Steinert High School in Trenton, a 6'5" guard who is considered one of the top guards in the entire state. He will play basketball next year for Rutgers. He chose RU over Georgia Tech and Stanford. He made his announcement yesterday at a press conference. Here's how it unfolded.
I'd like to thank all the athletic programs that have shown an interest in recruiting me, and I appreciate all their time and cooperation. However, there's one individual school that has appealed to me more than any other. The college that I plan to attend in the next 4 years of my basketball career and life is Rutgers University. It's a place where I felt comfortable with a coaching staff that appealed to me, who was very friendly, and they cared about me as a person.
Dante Jones averaged 20.8 points per ball game last year. Steinert finished 25-3. They went to the Group 3 state finals. And joining us on the phone right now is Dahntay Jones. Dante, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Now that you've had a day or so to digest your decision, tell me how you're feeling inside.
I'm very, very excited. I think I made the right decision for our future. And, a lot of people have been congratulating me and wishing me the best of luck, and I feel real nice.
How long have you known Kevin Bannon?
For about 3 or 4 years now.
And although he left Rider and went to Rutgers, you felt that he was the right fit for you?
Yes, I felt he was the right fit for me because he was the person that I trusted and that I feel like can get the job done for Rutgers program.
Dante, Rutgers has been criticized over the many years, the last decade or so, for not getting the Jersey athletes in both football and basketball. So you're making a commitment, and I would think in some ways you're a trailblazer here, and hopefully you can set a trend where other New Jersey athletes will also consider going to their state university.
I hope so, because I love to have my fellow New Jerseyans come and play for State University. It's a great place to play, and I hope they realize that also.
Tell me about your game. I mean, the rumors are that you are very good inside. Are you going to continue to work on your perimeter game as well?
Of course. I've been trying to work on my perimeter game all summer. Since the AAU, I have to play guard. I'm only playing inside during the season because that's what a high school team needs.
Do you like to run up and down the floor?
Of course.
And do you think that the Rutgers style will fit that? Do you see that there's going to be some type of up-tempo and an opportunity to play transition basketball?
Yeah, Coach Kevin Bannon has told me that it's going to be an opportunity to play up-tempo basketball and get it up the floor and just pressure teams to death with our quickness and athleticism.
Dante, we appreciate you joining us tonight. We wish you the best of luck, and I'm sure that Rutgers is smiling as much as you are right now.
Thank you for having me, sir.
Thank you very much. Dahntay Jones of Steinert High School, who is heading on to Rutgers University and picked the Scarlet Knights over Georgia Tech and Stanford. That's some pretty good company. Let's open up the phone lines tonight at 1.
Coming off shoulder surgery, doing very, very well. He's built his body up, and he's had a very good summer. And we all know Geoff Billet, our local product, who's had a great career at Rutgers. And I think, it seems like he's been around forever, but he's got half of a career left. And I'm looking forward to being his coach for those last 2 years because I think the world of Geoff.
Talk about your front line and where you expect productivity.
Well, I think that's the big question with us. We were really manhandled a lot last year. We don't have the physical strength of many of the teams in the Big East, but I think we helped ourselves, first of all, with our Lithuanian import in Alvydas Tenys, who's a 6'11", 250-pound center, who I think is the Big East center. It's going to take a little bit of time, but he's a legitimate player, and what it does, it really helps us with some of the other players not playing out of position. A guy like Eric Clark, who at 6'8" and on the thin side, actually had to play a whole lot of minutes at center last year.
Right.
And, playing him at the 4 and Rob Hodgson, who's a guy that could give us great minutes at the 3, you can move him there. So we're going to throw Alvydas into the fire, and his backup, Josh Sankus, we hope we can get some good minutes out of him. And if we can do that, if we can play a bigger lineup, I think we can be a whole lot more successful.
Going back to Billet, Kevin, talk to me a little bit about Geoff, because he's a young man from New Jersey, and obviously Jersey fans root for Jersey athletes. There's something about the maturity to his game which I think is highly creditable.
This kid is a special guy. I mean,
he's a great guest, by the way.
Yeah, I can imagine. He's great at everything he does. He should run for president someday because he's that popular on our campus. He's a fun guy to coach. I haven't even been out on the court with him yet. He's a great diplomat for the program. When we have recruits in town, it's always Geoff who reaches out, tries to help them, and he's the whole package. You want to have 13, 15 Geoff Billets on your squad because he's a total student athlete, a great player, a great kid, nice family. I mean, I just think the world of him.
Kevin, when you took over, you talked about your commitment to the New Jersey athlete. I know you can't talk specifics about an individual recruit. We've documented that already tonight. But I just want to hear from you about getting the Jersey athletes to stay home and the fact that you're out there communicating with the coaches and trying to impress upon them that Rutgers is the right match.
Well, I think it's a good match for a lot of people. One of the things that excites me about the job is that, Rutgers University is a great place to go to school. I mean, it's a campus that can appeal to someone who comes from a city or more of a rural background. It's a great school. It's in a great location. We've got the on-campus facility. So, my job is to get out there and obviously to improve our talent level and to obviously get more wins. But I think if you can do that with a local flair, it just makes it very, very special. And I know the people having lived in the state, it's important. And I realize that. And anytime we can get a local kid to stay home, it's going to speed up our progress, and hopefully more will follow.
You better get a good night's sleep because I know you're going to be up midnight rather soon. And we look forward to working with you this season on the Rutgers basketball show with you. And best of luck to you, Kev.
Thanks, Bruce. It's always good to be with you.
Kevin Bannon, the head coach of the Scarlet Knights of Rutgers. He's very excited about Midnight Madness, which commences this coming Friday night. Let's go to Ken from Point Pleasant at 1-888-COMCAST.